Okay. Yes, we won. Yes, I'm happy we're through. Oh, but you can't tell me all is well at Newcastle. Okay. Right, we're through. Newcastle are through to the third round of the Carabao Cup. 1-1 after 90 minutes against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. And we win on penalties. Sean Longstaff scoring the decisive spot kick. It's a tricky one, this, because delighted to get through, because we know how much of a cup run is so important to us, especially the Carabao Cup after coming so close in recent years. But I can't help feel this is just papering over the cracks. It's such a huge 48 hours for the club, which I'll come on to a little bit, because I'm highly frustrated with the kind of upper levels of the club currently. But let's talk about the game quickly first. Huge positive number one. Sandro Tonali back in the starting 11 was fantastic. Great hour he played, and he was kind of involved in the goal as well, which came after 18 seconds. Joe Willock. First things first, absolutely gutted for him that he's gone off injured. I'm not gutted for him. I'm devastated for him. I hope it's not serious. He's had no luck whatsoever this past 12 months. Just hope he's okay. But he got the goal after 18 seconds. Tonali, nice little movement with Miggy, who put a fantastic ball through for Isak. And then their keeper saves, rolled it straight to Willock, and in it goes. The ideal start. And we've been starting well in games so far this season. That's been a recurring theme, these 3 matches in so far. First 10-15 minutes, we've looked really good. After that, it gets tricky, and Forest were well on top. We were kind of fortunate to see the half out with the lead intact. Obviously, Willock went off. Bruno had to come on. Tonali, by the way, was probably our best player, and he could only last an hour. No one can blame him. First, yes, he's been training with the lads during these 10 months, but there's nothing quite like match sharpness, match fitness. And he'll come on to that. It was brilliant to see him back in a Newcastle shirt tonight. His touch hasn't left him, obviously. He's going to be one hell of a player. And I'm avoiding the phrase like a new signing, like the plague there, because we'll come on to that. Second half followed the same as the end of the first half, really. Forest were well on top. Without making Pope work too much, but, Forest get the equaliser early doors, crap defending from a long throw. It was like watching Stoke City of the late noughties with Rory Delap, and the ball falls to Jota Silva, and he lashes it in top bins, and it's 1-1. And after that, they only really looked like one team were going to win it. 25 minutes into the second half, Newcastle hadn't had a shot in since the break, and it was all Nottingham Forest. Couple of changes were made here and there. Gordon was brought on. Sean Longstaff was brought on. Livramento was brought on. They made some positive changes, as I say. Tonali went off after the hour mark. Great performance by him. I thought Longstaff did really well. Speaking of Longstaff, if he'd have played, if it was Sean Longstaff that had played like Joe Linton has these past 2 games, there would be uproar on social media, in the terraces about Sean Longstaff. You know how I feel about him. I've always backed him. Made a bit of a scapegoat at times. Same with Dan Burn. But look, Joe Linton's had 2 shocking performances back to back after being a colossus against Southampton. He's missed the penalty there. It wasn't a bad penalty, but their keeper is about 11'10". But it's one of those things. Joe Linton needs to up his game the next few, otherwise he'd be out of the team. Especially now Tonali's back, and hopefully Willock not being too serious. He had his thigh iced on the bench when he came off. So yeah, we got better the last 10 minutes. Lewis Hall had a really good effort, forcing a save from their keeper, and that was that really. It goes to penalties. Joe Linton the first to miss, but then Sangare and Awonyi completely sky their penalties, and that left Sean Longstaff to roll in the winner, and we're through. We're still unbeaten this season, which is bizarre because we've not looked good. Has our way of playing been found out? Do we need to freshen up the system a little bit? That's for Eddie Howe. What's not really up to Eddie Howe is this recruitment crap. There's 2 days left in the transfer window. I don't expect Darren Eales to be stepping foot in the stack on Sunday against Tottenham. It's all very well having a good time and having a beer with the fans when things are going well, but you should not be in the stack when you're not doing your job. That made me feel really, it was cringe, I thought, last week. And I stayed pretty quiet about it because I'm not one to spread negativity. And I've been biting my lip about it because I am frustrated about the lack of transfer movement and the time and effort that's been put on Gehi. If we don't get anyone in these next 48 hours, and look, we need a centre-back, we know this. We need a right winger, we know this. Why is it taking to the last 48 hours of the window? Paul Mitchell needs to stop fucking about. Signed one player since Mitchell's come in, and that was Asula. Not good enough. Darren Eales signed Lloyd Kelly. And, I don't believe everything I read on the internet. Of course I don't. But there are some numbers floating around with what he's being paid a week, which are absolute filth. I hope to God they are wrong. Because otherwise Eales will have a lot to answer for. There's news and reports that Fulham are interested in Miggy, who was carrying a bit of a knock all the way through the second half. I thought that hasn't been reported by anyone, any of the big hitters of the North East press pack, though. That's kind of internet rumours, really, at the moment. So until it's reported by one of the actual North East press pack, I don't buy it. Do we move on? I mean, look, the time and effort being spent. Yes, Gehi's a fantastic player. We know this. But there are plenty other alternatives. Diamande, Silva, Tapsoba, Simikan, who's today has been linked with us. That might be something concrete in that. We'll find out over the next 40 hours, I suppose. There are plenty of options abroad to have got this in and stop wasting time with Crystal Palace, who are making things as difficult as possible. Yes, I don't blame Palace, but at what point do you say, let's draw stumps and move on? Because we haven't moved on, and we're going to look so silly if we haven't brought anyone in by Friday 11 p.m. Most fans, I don't want to speak for you, so, get your comments in, but I'm guessing most fans want to see right winger and a centre-half in. So if we can get a centre-back cheaper, will Simikan be cheaper? Will Antonio Silva be cheaper? Reports are Leipzig are looking at Silva to replace Simikan. It's just mind-numbing. I don't know what Eales has been playing at. So he bears the brunt of my frustration at the moment. This could all change in the next 48 hours, and we could be riding on a high going into Tottenham again. This coming Sunday, which I'll be at. I hope that's the case, because I don't like being negative and getting frustrated about things, especially the past few years we've had, which have been brilliant. But yeah, it's not right. These past two windows, this one in particular, has been appallingly bad, and so mismanaged and so disorganised. Yes, you can blame Ashworth, but that only gets you so far. Paul Mitchell has to bed in and get his working relationship going with Eddie Howe. Yes, but he's not a novice at this. He's an absolute class operator. He's got his portfolio of players. I just don't understand the time and effort being wasted on Gehi when we could have moved on by now. Again, I hope I'm going to be... Nothing would please me more than to see me being proved wrong and we get 2 players in before the deadline, Friday night, 11 p.m. But I can't see it. And like the club have said, the whispers that have been coming out of the club from the North East press pack is that if it is Gehi that we do sign, that'll be our business done, unless there are outgoings. So whether that's Almiron, whether that's Trippier, whatever. I hope it's not Trippier, because we need to keep him. But Almiron looks the most. But 3rd season in a row we're going in with Miggy and Murphy as our right wingers. They're not good enough on a consistent basis. It is what it is. Again, I don't like being negative, especially after we've just won on penalties, but I can't help the way I feel, and that is how I feel. So let me know if you agree or disagree. Tell me to shut up in the comments. By all means do. That's absolutely fine. We are through, and that is the good news. So let's end on a positive. Newcastle are through. We've won a game on penalties, and Sandro Tonali is back, baby, and he still looks as good as ever. Bring on Spurs on Sunday. Stay tuned to Newcastle Fans TV.